Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn with me, Julie Cameron, Business Growth Specialist with ActionCOACH Solihull. Basically, if you're joining us today on LinkedIn and Facebook, then please do let me know where you're listening to me from, with it being this wet and wonderful Monday morning. What is your motivation for today? So anyway, getting straight to it today, what we're going to look at is all about time mastery. Now, a lot of people would say, time mastery? What's time mastery? Well, time mastery is time management, okay? And it's a subject that a lot of us struggle with. It's an area that everybody says over and over again to us, wish we had more time. And today, that's what we're going to look at, okay, for us all moving forward. And one thing that I want you to kind of think about, first of all, when we start, is that the chairman of Chrysler once said, if you can't be at home for dinner with your family at 6 p.m. every night, then you're doing something wrong. Okay, I'm just going to say that again because I think it's really key out there. So how many of us as business owners out there can actually turn around and say that we're home and present with our family at 6 p.m. every night? And that's by being present, actually being in the moment with our family, not thinking about work, not thinking about anything else. So again, that chairman of Chrysler, if you can't be at home for dinner with your family at 6 p.m. every night, then you're doing something wrong. Okay, and today what we're going to do is try and give you some hints, some tips on how to manage your time better so that you are at home with your family at 6 p.m. every night and that you are present with them as well. So let's get started. Your most valuable asset as a business owner is time, and how you invest your time is one of the keys to business success. Now, time is something that we can't change. You know, time, there are 24 hours in the day, and unless when the clocks go back or forward, we don't change that. Okay, there is only 24 hours a day. And the thing that we need to look at in time mastery is that there are three main areas. Okay, there's self-mastery, planning mastery, and delegation mastery. And today on this Lunch and Learn, we are going to look at all three aspects. Okay, so starting with self-mastery. So let's go. First of all, one of the questions to you is how we can change to get more use of the time that we have available. So basically, time management, it's not sometimes necessarily about time management, it's about mastering what we do with that time. Because basically your job as a business owner is to create more money. You know, and we should, you know, as that business owner, be spending our time in order to make that happen. So what we need to look at is what we're doing with our time, basically. So the clock doesn't stop. And I think that's key to know. The clock doesn't stop. We can't make any more time, even though we wish. How many of you out there have said, I wish I had more hours in the day? You know, we can't make more hours in the day. But what you can do is to be the master of yourself and the master of what you do within that time that you have available. Okay, so sometimes it's not about managing your time, but it's managing yourself that is key to make this happen. So what I want you to think about today is, what are your time goals? Okay, and by time goals, what are the amount of hours that you want to work in the day? You know, do you want to get up at 5 in the morning and work for 8 hours? Do you want to work for 2 hours? You know, how many hours do you want to be investing in your business? You know, what is your goal? You know, are you working 13, 14 hours now? You know, and you want to get that down to 6. So what is it? How many hours do you actually want to work in your business or on your business? Because fundamentally, one of the reasons that a lot of us go into business for ourselves is because we want a better work-life balance. And what does that actually look like for you? Okay, so make a note. How many hours do you actually want to work a day? You know, and our aim when looking at the amount of business, you know, amount of the hours that we work in our business, our aim is to increase the profitability in our business. So therefore we need to increase our productivity within our business. You know, again, there's probably many of us out there that, you know, we sit there and we say that we want that open door policy. We want to be there for all of our employees, you know. Well, all that's telling me is that you're being reactive. You're being reactive, you're working in the moment. But what we need to do to increase the profitability in our business and to increase that productivity is be proactive. And that's about managing the time that we have available and what we do in that time that we have available. So the first step, and it's a challenge for all of you out there on LinkedIn and Facebook. So the first step that I want you to do is over the next 2 weeks, I want you to keep a diary of what you do every 15 minutes. Okay, so write down every 15 minutes what you've been up to, because by doing this, you will become more productive, because all of a sudden you will become aware of what you're actually doing and how you're spending the time in your day. I then want you to look at that list and you will see what are your top 5 time wasters. It could be a person or it could be an activity, but what we need to do is to work to get them off our list. And we do that by systemizing, delegating, or training people to do the job ourselves. So I was talking to a client the other day and they were saying, every time that they get an email come through, they feel like they need to respond, and they feel like they need to respond straight away. But we don't. Could we then set up an automated system, that says, you get an automated reply that sort of like says, your inquiry or your email is important to me and I will respond within 24 hours. Therefore, all of a sudden you're giving yourself the freedom to be able to concentrate on what you were doing rather than responding and being reactive to the emails that are coming through your inbox. Delegate. Again, I was talking to somebody the other day and they were saying, I don't like to ask for help. Well, delegation isn't about asking for help. It's delegating a task to somebody else so that you can concentrate on making the money within your business, because that's the key to your business success. And again, with that delegation comes training. So we need to work on getting those top 5 time wasters off your list. And it's exactly like Steve has just put on Facebook, you value your time like money. Don't give it away. And we'll come on to that slightly later, because there are some certain time wasters and certain people with certain traits that potentially are, time wasters for you. And I'll give you some top tips on how to overcome them. Second step, I want you to think about what's the most important task for you to do as the business owner. Okay. So you have made your list of everything that you're doing every 15 minutes, so then I want you to look at that list and look at all the tasks that you're doing. And I want you to see, look at what are the most important tasks for you to do as the business owner. And I want you to look at those routine tasks. What are you doing every day, every hour? And I want you to make a list of them. And then I want you to prioritize them. Which are the ones that are the A priorities, the ones that will actually generate income into your business and revenue? What are the B ones? What are the C ones? What are the D ones? And where the D ones are concerned, what are they? And how often are you doing them? But I want you to prioritize them. I then want you to allocate a certain length of time to them. And this moves beautifully on to planning mastery. And that's by looking at your priority tasks and putting them into your diary and creating your default diary. Okay. So literally, when we go back from that list, so you have logged everything for 15 minutes. Okay. You're then looking at the tasks that you should be doing as a business owner. You're logging them into priority order. Okay. I then want you to look at your diary and pop them into your diary so that you're allocating time to do those priority tasks every day. Okay, and this is creating our default diary basically. So therefore you're being proactive at least 80% of your day. And as I've put on the screen there, always leave some time for reactiveness. Okay, 1 hour a day. And that is when your door is open. That is when you're responding to that urgent email that's coming through on your emails, or that's responding to that urgent telephone call. And that is the reacting time. But the discipline is to follow your default diary, and that is key. It's about discipline. It's about disciplining yourself to follow what the tasks that you should be doing on a daily basis. And I've gone there, set reminders for changing tasks. So work with a lady that actually, when she does her social media and she knows that she only wants to spend half an hour per day on each platform. And so like on she sets a timer on her phone, and she sets it for 30 minutes. And within that 30 minutes, she doesn't get distracted by anything else. That's self-discipline. How many of us out there are putting reminders in? So like, putting reminders to change the task. So are you spending half an hour on LinkedIn, then your alarm goes off? So you spend half an hour on Facebook, your alarm goes off. Or are we, like the majority of people, doing 10 minutes here, there and everywhere, and then all of a sudden you're spending 2 hours on LinkedIn? And with your default diary, as Steve really rightly says on Facebook, it's about putting in those times for you. Okay, so again, I was talking to a client the other day and she was saying, but I want to go out for coffee with my friends on a Tuesday morning. And I was like, well, you put it in your default diary that every Tuesday morning you are going out for coffee. Yeah, because you recognize that actually you've maybe going to have to work maybe a bit later, or you're going to reduce your hours on that day, but it's being disciplined to what you've got to do within that day. And you can take the time away from your business. Got another client that puts in her default diary about taking the dog for a walk. And again, it's making sure that you are disciplined to do the tasks that you'll say you're going to do in your default diary. And it's a great tool, an absolutely amazing tool to use. So going on to, more planning of utilizing our time better, is creating that daily list. Now, how many of us out there create a to-do list? And I'm sure there's a majority of people, I've got one here in front of me of things that, I need to get done today, but it's not my to-do list, it's my must-achieve list. And that list was created the night before. So everybody out there, a challenge for you, is to do your to-do list, before you leave for the day. Okay. And the reason that we do this is because by writing down your must achieve activities for the day after, your brain starts processing the task. Okay, it sounds really daft, but if you're thinking, okay, so tomorrow I am going to schedule all my posts on Facebook. I'm going to schedule all my posts on LinkedIn, for example. I know I'm using social media quite a lot, but it's something that's come to my mind. And you're putting that there and writing it down, then all of a sudden your brain starts processing it. So that when you come to it, you've probably got 4 or 5 different ideas of the things that you want to post. But if you don't do that and you leave it to you, right, okay, Monday morning I'm sat here and I'm writing down my to-do list, and it says, write 5 posts for Facebook or LinkedIn, and you'll sit there and you'll procrastinate about it because your brain's not been given the opportunity to think about it and process it. Okay, and I've said about handwriting it, and that's because the brain engages differently if you handwrite something than it does if you see it on a screen. If you see it on a screen, you think, it's been copied and pasted, or it's can be easily deleted. Whereas if you're handwriting, you're taking ownership of it. Okay. Add a time frame for each task. So by that means, when you're writing your must achieve list, you're putting a time to each task. So for example, if you're going to spend 45 minutes on calling people, so put a task, but it should be less than an hour. And the reason that we always say that it should be less than an hour, because if a task is longer than an hour, then it needs to be broken down smaller. Okay. And equally, Brad Sugars, who's the owner and founder of ActionCOACH, always says that a meeting should last no longer than 20 minutes. And that's because over 20 minutes, you're not as productive. So think about it. So if you've got a task, if you say it's going to take you 2 hours, then 2 hours is mental strain. And it's also a long period of time. So all of a sudden in your head, you're thinking, well, I've got ages. I'll sit back. I'll chat to so-and-so and I'll do that. And then, oh my giddy aunt, I'm not getting it done. So just think about it. Okay. Like I said, leave 1 hour reactive a day, but making the list before you leave it also clears your head. Okay. Because in a way, as I always say, brain dump. You're you're dumping everything that's in your brain onto a piece of paper to do for tomorrow. Okay. So it clears your head, and then it makes you more present in the moment when you get home to have that dinner by 6 p.m. Yeah. Then we need to look at delegation mastery. So delegation mastery is another key thing where it comes to time management, and a basic time log, like we said, within that 15 minutes, when you're making your list of 15 minutes, you will find that there's a number of tasks in there that should be delegated out to other people, okay? Look for things you want to do, but you don't need to do. Okay, and that will highlight that there are 5 hours in that week that you can start working on your business. And that's key, because by working on our business, it means that our business will grow. Okay. Delegation is about you letting go as a business owner as much as it is about the team. Okay. And delegation, as I've said, it's not about asking for help. That's just a mindset shift. You know, it's not that you aren't capable of doing it. It's not that you are not able to do it. It's about that your time is better spent on doing other things. Okay. And make sure when you delegate, you don't just abdicate. Train, assist, and measure at the start. Okay. Because it's so key that if you're delegating, but you're not giving anybody the training, or you're not assisting them to start off with, then they probably won't do a great job, and you'll end up taking that task back on. Okay. And again, it's the basics to delegate. You know, delegate the basics out there, because I think we're going to come on to a slide. Yeah, minimum wage job. You know, and this may sound really crude, but you as a business owner, as we've said before, your main task in your day, in your business, is to generate income. Okay, generate that profitability within your business. Now, if you're thinking, you know, as a business owner, you're going to clean the office, or you're going to take out the rubbish, okay, because you don't actually want to employ, you see somebody as a cleaner as a cost associated with it. But actually, if that's taking you an hour to do, then just think about how much income or profit you could generate by doing an hour's work on sales or on marketing instead of cleaning the office, for example. Or, excuse me, if it's a case of answering emails or booking appointments, you know, and that's not to diminish those jobs, but you as a business owner, your main aim, like I've said before, is to generate that income and that profitability within your business. Therefore, is making telephone calls and are answering emails the most important aspects of your role? Well, no. What you're most important is to have those end-up conversations with people to generate that income, that profitability. And I know I'm going on about it, but just think about it. Is that a minimum wage job that you're doing? Okay, because if it is a minimum job wage that you're doing, then you shouldn't necessarily be doing it. Okay, you should be looking to outsource it or recruit, because fundamentally you could generate more money to actually as well cover that person's role and more profitability into your business. So think about, as a business owner, how much your time is worth. How much would you get paid per hour? Okay, and then think about the fact, would you pay somebody the same rate of pay as you for that role? Okay, so base it on the role rather than saving a wage. And Brad always uses the example of a $10 job. So think about when you're looking at your list of everything that you're doing on that 15-minute basis, and it all goes back to that, you know, all goes back to that. So look at that list and just think, is that a $10 job? You know, and if it is that $10 job or that minimum wage job, then actually, should I be doing it? You know, and we have time vampires, and this goes back to Steve's point that he said earlier, you know, that there are people that suck away our time, you know, and I'm sure that we have all come across them, you know, on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. And the first one is, you know, those people that drop by, those people that turn around and say to you, do you have a minute? Well, how many times as a business owner do we say, yeah, of course, come in, sit down. Of course, I've got a minute. Answer the phone, yeah, of course, I've got a minute. You know, what is the solution? Well, the solution is to invite them to go over their items at the end of the day. No? There's Mr. Meeting. The people that do nothing but attend meetings, are they, as a business owner, we need to stop and evaluate if they really need to be in or hold the meeting. Is there a more time-effective way of handling it? Mr. Trivia. We've all got those people within our organizations or within our businesses that can't differentiate between important, unimportant, minor, or major. So therefore we need to be upfront with those people and say, rate how important that comment is, or that task or that thing that you want to talk to me about, and let them know that you as a business owner are only dealing with 9s and 10s today or forever. So therefore get them to think about why they're coming to you. And therefore, if it's important, a 9 or a 10, then definitely, but think about it. And then there's the emotional crisis person. Some people that magnify everything, and fundamentally, usually they don't want solutions. They want to talk to you about it. But what you need to do is cut to the core of the problem and actually offer them up a solution. So have a militant attitude, and this is to you out there on, Facebook, LinkedIn, those that are joining us on Zoom today. Have that militant attitude. Resent having your time wasted. Your time is valuable. Your time is precious. Like I've said, you can't make any more of it. So actually, what we do with our time is really important to us. So therefore, don't waste it. Self-determination is so important, and that's about that discipline. And that self-determination to make sure that, our time is worth something to us and it's worth something to other people. And how tough are you on those that undervalue your time? Who gives anybody the right to think that their time is more valuable, more precious than ours? Because it is. Everybody's time is precious to themselves. So don't let others undervalue your time. And how tough are you on yourself? How disciplined are you? How controlled are you? Are you setting those timers? Are you setting those reminders to let us know exactly, well, I need to be moving on? How disciplined are you on your default diary? Interruptions, we all get interruptions throughout our day, and they destroy that office, or, your productivity is destroyed if you get constantly interrupted. Okay. And so therefore there's a few tricks, a few tips, that I'm going to offer you up at the moment. In order to achieve, peak productivity, you need to stop those interruptions. And there's a few, I think I've got 5 on here, and I'll go through them in a bit more. Get lost. Don't answer the phone. Regulate the fax and email. Well, fax is maybe a bit of old-fashioned these days, but regulate that email. Set the timer on the bomb and be busy and be obvious about it. Now, if we look at them in more detail, get lost. Simply be inaccessible. Don't answer the phone. So have that receptionist voicemail or answer machine. Create that still curtain of defense. So that you don't have to answer the phone, somebody else is going to do it for you, or you have in your default diary a certain period where you will answer phone calls, where you will look at your voicemails and you'll get back to them. So making sure on that answer machine saying, your call is important to me, but I will respond within 12 hours. I will give you a call back as soon as I'm able to. But as long as you've got that period of time that in your default diary that says, return calls, but create that still curtain of defense and be disciplined with it, so that we don't all get carried away with every time a phone goes, you've got to answer it, unless that's your job role to do so. Regulate emails. Often think about a gentleman that we worked with who said that when he got a message through on LinkedIn, he felt he needed to respond straight away. Well, this is the same principle, regulate it. Check them after lunch, only deal with the urgent ones, and check them again at the end of the day. So again, within that default diary, you will have created from your list, I'm sure email checking will be on there, but equally, if you then turn around and said, instead of having 10 minutes every hour checking them, if you do 15, 20 minutes, first thing in the morning, lunchtime, and before you go home in the evening, actually that will be a hell of a lot more productive than it will be checking every 2 minutes. You know, quickly deal with the urgent ones. Again, integrating all the rest into your next day plan. So when it comes to that daily list that I was talking about earlier, you know, dealing with what you can see on your emails and putting that into your must achieve list for the day after will help you free up the time to do more work in your business. You know, as Steve again, obviously on Facebook for us today, but he was saying, bless him, build lunch and learn into your diary, most definitely. But it's important to delegate the task and authorize people with it. So giving people the authority to be able to do the task in hand is key, to give them the power to empower them. You know, and the key is there, you know, you trust them, you are training them, you are giving them the power to actually do the task for you. So it's key in delegation. Set the timer on the bomb, interruption strategies, set the timer on the bomb. If you do take an incoming call, set the exit time up front. Okay, so I'm going to take a call. I'm going to take a call at 10 to 12 and I'm going to say, hi, I've only got 10 minutes until my lunch and learn. So you're setting your stall at the beginning of the actual call that you're taking, okay? Or, you know, you've got an hour's appointment, you have a feeling it might run over and say, I need to stick this to the hour because I've got a back-to-back appointment and I need to leave in an hour. You know, you're setting your stall up or you're setting the timer on the bomb before you actually start. So you're doing, as we call, you know, you've got those purpose statements where you say, today we're going to discuss this, and then you're saying, and I've got 5 minutes to do it. So you're setting out the expectation with your client, with the person that you're talking to, or whoever it is, but it's key. And be busy and be obvious about it. Now that sounds really daft, but actually busy people are less often interrupted than unbusy people. So think about it. If you're sat at your desk and you're sat there twiddling a pen, maybe thinking about things, you know, but actually to other people, do you look busy? Probably not. So if you're not looking busy, what are people likely to do? Well, they're likely to come and interrupt you or have a chat or anything like that, because you're more likely to be interrupted, even though you may be thinking about something, you know, work or kind of trying to generate a strategy in your head or whatever it is. You know, to the outside perspective, you're not looking busy. When you're visible to others, be visually busy. So whether that's typing, whether that's head down, whether that's a phone call, whatever, but looking busy and being obvious about it means that you won't get as many interruptions. So here are 10 time management techniques that are worth using. So tame the phone, email, and social media. You know, how many of us are guilty that, you know, we pick up our phone, I've got mine here, you know, we pick it up and we kind of like go, oh, look, oh, I'll just go onto Instagram, or, oh, look, there's an email come through, oh, you know, and we do that. So tame it, pop it in a drawer. I've got a client that puts her phone in the drawer so she doesn't get distracted by it. You know, have it worked into your default diary. When do you answer phone calls? When do you respond to emails? And when do you do social media? Minimize meetings. So be like Brad, okay? 20-minute meetings, okay? You know, minimize the time that you are taken out of the office or out of working on your business and you're working in your business. So think about those meetings. Are they productive? Are they necessary? You know, if you're having a one-to-one, does it need to be an hour? Going to be 45? You know, do you have a system in place where instead of going straight into a half-hour conversation with a potential client, that you have a quick 10-minute conversation first? And then does that 10-minute conversation, is it a touch point in your business kind of strategy? You know, does that 10-minute conversation mean that actually that half an hour conversation is more productive? You know, is it a case of after that 10-minute conversation, instead of wasting half an hour, they may not decide that it's the best way forward. So therefore, are you gaining more time? So minimize those meetings. Practice absolute punctuality. Now, I think we were all guilty of this at times, you know, be punctual. You know, demand punctuality from clients, from people that you're dealing with, you know, because it means that you are on time, you're aware of the time that you're taking and aware of the time that you need to be there. Make and use lists. Like I said, you know, schedules, to-do lists, must-achieve lists, people-to-call lists, conference plans, all of the lists, because once you've written it down, again, it's that process, the brain starts processing it. So therefore, when you come to do the task, you become more productive. Fight to link everything to your goals. Your business has goals. Okay, you have a goal, whether it's to gain more clients this month, and that's a number, so gain 2 clients this month, whether it's, you know, to be the best social media expert, whether it's, you know, you have goals within your business. Okay, so everything that you do in your day should be linked to them. Therefore, you know, instead of, you know, what's your strategy for lead generation? Well, it's linking it back to a goal so that you're on the right platform, posting the right things, doing the, you know, engaging with your niche, your target market, you know, link it back to your goals, because therefore you're using your time productively, and equally increase productivity, increase profitability. You know, tickle the memory with tickler files. And I think this is quite cute, but 90 files, folders numbered 1 to 3 representing 90 days, you know, put any relevant information into it when you need it, you know, so therefore you're not searching through things, trying to find it, you know, memory ticklers. You know, block your time with the default diary. We've talked about default diary. If anybody who does want a copy of our kind of default diary template, then please do let me know, comment on the chat boxes, and I'll get that back out to you. But block your time, use that default diary, you know, but make sure that you incorporate you time, you know, and use it. You know, do the exercise, but then use it. Don't just put it in a drawer and forget about it. You need to use it. And that goes the same with goal planning. You know, I often say to people, you know, just digressing slightly, is that, you know, you're planning when you've got a business plan, it's an active document. You know, don't just do it and then put it in a drawer and forget about it. It's the same with your default diary. You do it, it's an active document. Have it up on your screen, have it up on your wall, have it wherever, make it visual, make it alive. You know, and if it doesn't work for you, then that's fine. Change it. If you're finding that you need longer to do on certain aspects, then change it. It's a live, living, breathing document, okay, that is there to help you get the best use of your time. You know, Roz has put on there, must-do lists instead of to-do lists are a great way to work, and so rewarding to see them completed. It is, give yourself a pat on the back. You know, I'm a big one. I love crossing things off my list. But it gives you that sense of accomplishment that you have achieved something within your day if you do that. You know, minimize unplanned activity. Every day should be planned in blocks from beginning to the end of the day. And that is the same with your default diary. Your day is planned. Okay. And that's about being proactive. Okay. But like I said, leave that 1 hour for those reactiveness, because some things do happen that we can't plan for. You know, so always leave time in your diary for that reactive time. But the majority of your day needs to be planned and it needs to be blocked out so that you know, if you're doing networking, you know, your relationship marketing, if you have telephone calls to make, if you have coaching, for example, for me, if I have lunch and learn, I know that I block this time out, but I also block planning time. So therefore, because I block planning time, it doesn't eat up into my evening, it doesn't eat up into my morning before I start work. So you need to make sure that everything's planned out in your diary. You know, profit from odd lot time, as we call it. You know, listen to tapes and CDs. Again, quite old, but anyway, listen to podcasts, listen to you know, webinars when stuck in traffic, waiting to offices, you know, airports, things like that. So profit from that time. You know, if you're taking, I'm a big believer of being present in the moment. Okay, so sometimes I do believe actually when you go for a walk, or you know, you're out getting fresh air, that you are present in the moment around you. You know, you're listening to the birds, you're listening to the traffic potential, you're listening to, you know, you're seeing things. But there is that argument that sometimes actually listening to podcasts when we're walking, or listen when we're driving, or when we're waiting for people. We can profit from that time by listening and and learning and educating ourselves. That's what we can do in those odd lot times, which will save you time in other times of your diary. And we've got number 10 is live off peak. So avoid going to the bank on Fridays, that kind of mentality. So avoid going to places when it's peak time, so you're not spending as much time in traffic or queuing or being surrounded by people, so you're not getting the best use of your time. You're wasting a bit of time, and that fundamentally comes to the end of time management. So the key learnings for today is sometimes it's not about time management. You're not managing your time, you're managing yourself. And what we need to do as business owners is manage ourselves and what we're doing in that time that we have available. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today on today's Lunch and Learn. I hope that, or I know that the techniques and some of the tips and hints where, time management, they are worth using and implementing, but I can't stress enough, I'm challenging all of you out there to write down in 15-minute blocks what you do for the next 2 weeks. Okay, because even just by doing that one exercise, you're going to become more productive with your time. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them in the comment boxes on Facebook or LinkedIn. And I look forward to welcoming you back next Monday.